passionately on this important cause. And our ministers and ministers of state had also given so much of their time to address our concerns, recommendations, and very importantly, echo their support for the aspirations of Singapore women. And I certainly appreciate the interest and support from our Workers' Party and nominated members of Parliament in this motion debate as well. We have had 2 days of robust debate, and it is clear that women have made significant progress over the decades. But that 18 MPs and 5 ministers spoke over 2 days, it is also clear that there are still areas in which the nation can take pragmatic, concrete steps to help women achieve their aspirations, thereby benefiting families, increasing social capital and economic prosperity, and contributing to Singapore's long-term success. Through the debate, colleagues and I have articulated and elaborated on the 4 strategies that we believe are critical to supporting Singapore women in their aspirational pursuits. Let me briefly sum up. The first strategy, it is to create capacity. As we have all agreed that as of the current reality, the primary caregiving role is undertaken by women. And therefore, there is a need to give more support to our caregivers so as to free up the capacity to pursue their aspirations, whether it is in the social area or the career arena. And in this aspect, I'm glad that colleagues such as Honourable Ms. Joan Pereira, Ms. Cheryl Chan, Ms. Kwek Xiao Yin, and Ms. Sun Xue-ling have all alluded to in the speech. At the same time, we also need to refresh and build new capabilities of our women to help back-to-work women. Because with new capabilities or refreshed capabilities, when they skill up, it also builds and creates new capacity as well. And this is also being very passionately spoken about by Honourable Member Ms. Jessica Tan, Ms. Joan Pereira, Ms. Daryl David, Ms. Rahayu Mazam, and Ms. Intan Azura. The second strategy is to be able to provide options for women to choose. Those with career aspirations, that they don't have to feel that they have to sacrifice or make trade-offs, or even feel guilty about having to juggle 2 different roles and feel inadequate at any one point in time. Or even for women who choose to want to focus their energy on their families where their heart lies. And so, over the course of the 2-day debate, we have come up with several recommendations, almost all our speakers. We've also talked about how this needs to be complemented by having progressive HR policies and practices in place. And this has also been elaborated and championed by Honourable Member Ms. Cheryl Chan and Mr. Daryl David. Now, for those of us, women, who wish to focus our energies on family caregiving, to raise children, to take care of elderly, there's often one thing that weighs very heavily on their mind, and that is retirement adequacy. So how can we help women who choose this path to free up their capacity, to free up their mind so that they can focus on family caregiving a little bit more? And this is where several members such as Ms. Joan Pereira, Ms. Lee Biwa, Ms. Rahayu Mazam, Mr. Alex Tan, Dr. Intan Azura, and as well as Ms. Kwek Xiao Yin have all talked there for their family members. And this is also something that our PAP Women's Wing had in the past raised, and that is top up with love. And so these are the key points that our MPs, my colleagues, have raised very passionately about in terms of providing the options for women. The third strategy, and that is to remove barriers, to remove the invisible barrier, and often that are stereotypical as well as pigeonholing women in Singapore. So at the leadership level, we talk about how women has been underrepresented at the board levels, at the executive levels, and also how we should also drive up women participation and leadership within the community. And these have all been very passionately talked about by Ms. Jessica Tan, Ms. Sun Xue-ling, Mr. Vikram Nair, Mr. Alex Yam, and Mr. Louis Ng. But to do so, we also need to acknowledge, recognize the stereotypes, the biases that are also constraining women in these different roles. And so it is very heartening to hear that various members such as Mr. Daryl David, Mr. Louis Ng, Dr. Intan Azura, Mr. Leon Pereira, and Mr. Kok Heng Loon all talk about the need to shift the care burden to have a more equal sharing of care duties between men and women, whether it's at the workplace, whether it's in the family or even within the social setting. And so this is something that I believe that we need to continue to work on and endeavor to achieve a more equal sharing of care duties. And at the same time as what Ms. Jessica Tan had also elaborated, to be conscious of our unconscious bias, so that whether it's from recruitment to selection, that women will not be inevitably disadvantaged right from the get-go. And the fourth strategy, it is to be future ready. Something that I feel very passionately about, to have smart women for smart nation. As we look to the future, as we move towards a smart nation, as we leverage on the digital technology, as we leverage on the smart solutions, we look at a world of great possibilities. And for women to also exploit these, we also need to look at the STEM education to empower them, to equip them, to get them ready for the job opportunities in these new and exciting areas. And these are also what Ms. Jessica Tan and Ms. Thanalakshmi had talked about at great length yesterday and today. We also need to leverage more on technology to provide remote caregiving, to enable flexible work arrangements, so that we can create the capacity and provide the options that we've been talking about to help women to fulfill their different aspirations. And this is something that is also echoed by Mr. Darryl David. But underlying this, to enable both the future jobs as well, taking on the future jobs as well as being able to balance the different roles using smart solutions, digital fluency is a very critical success factor and a critical enabler. And so this is something that we must continue to look into, whether it is to prepare our new digital generation through our formal education or through Skills Future, where we encourage and equip our women to take on IT courses so that they can raise their digital fluency skills and close that gender gap in this arena. It's important that we take a serious look at this. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the various ministries for the very strong and encouraging responses so far. I'd like to thank the Minister of State, Lam Pin Min, on behalf of the Ministry of Health, for sharing with us that there will be increased access and availability of elder care services, that there will be more leveraging of the retired nurses to help support the caregiving of our elders at home and within the community. And one thing that I thought was very encouraging was that the nursing profession had also taken the lead to adopt flexible work arrangement so that our nurses are able to juggle their different roles in life very well. And of course, I am also very heartened that the MOH will be looking into social egg freezing, something that has been weighing on the minds of many couples who are concerned about their own future, their own families, and wanting to raise healthy children. The second, I would also like to thank the Minister Ong Ye Kung on behalf of the Ministry of Education. Thank you for also acknowledging our recommendation for a Skills Future package. And we are very heartened that the ministry will be customizing the engagement to engage back to women more, to have a more user-centric way of engaging our workforce, to help them through customized sets of courses, and to help them to eventually, hopefully, match with real job opportunities. And the third, to Minister Lim Swee Say for the Ministry of Manpower. I'm very heartened, and I believe all my colleagues are, that flexible work arrangement is something that is on top of mind of the ministry as well. And that there will be strong support through NTUC to offer returnship program. I think it's something very exciting, and many women will definitely look forward to it. As well as strengthening HR practices, fair employment, the tripartite standards that Minister Yu spoke about. I think this is something that we are fully supportive of. In fact, for the PAP Women's Wing last year, in our position paper, we also talked about something very similar in concept, the industry-specific flexi work arrangement standards. So we definitely look forward to that. And you also mentioned the Adapt and Grow scheme to also be customized for back-to-work women. So these are all very encouraging to us, and these are definitely relevant to the recommendations that we've put forth. And also, of course, to Minister Tan Chuan Jin, thank you for also taking the lead and talking about how women are equals in this society, that we need to eliminate barriers at work and at community, that we need to recognize the evolving roles between men and women at home, that we need to also take care of our vulnerable women, and that there is also a need to look into the changing and reshaping of attitudes towards women. And of course, I am definitely very heartened to hear that ACTA will be working with URA to bring childcare facilities nearer to workplaces, and that you have expressed your explicit support for our aspiration of 2020, 20% female representation on boards by the year 2020. So all of these taken together demonstrates the willingness of government to support the aspirations of Singapore women. And I definitely look forward to the ministries implementing these recommendations, and we definitely look forward to the good news very soon. Many, if not all, of the recommendations that my colleagues and I have put forth in this motion apply to Singaporeans regardless of gender. Our support for women and men to balance their multiple roles should help them reach greater heights in our economy, in various professions, and in many diverse frontiers. Again, my colleagues and I have moved this motion with the aim of building on the strengths of women to recognize and close the gaps. And most importantly, with desire to make Singapore the best home for everyone. A home where, regardless of background or gender, Singaporeans have the capability, the opportunity, and the courage to pursue our family and career aspirations, and to lead a full and happy life. As Singapore is transforming to be future-ready, we, as members of this House, and certainly the whole of Singapore, should also ride on the momentum and translate our words into real action. And for that, thank you all.
Sundar, welcome back to Stanford.
It's great to be here, and it's nice to be back physically with people in the room, so it's terrific.
Yeah, and as you can tell, my classmates and I are so excited that you're here with us today. And this conversation is extra special for me because your story hits so close to home. Like you, my dad is from South India. He is an alumnus of IIT and immigrated here about 30 years ago with grit and determination. He's right here in the audience.
Nice to see you.
He's a role model for me, and so are you. So truly, thank you for being here.